Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. As always, my name is Zach Payne, the corruption detector, and joining me today are my very good friends from C60 Evo, the lovely Miss Patty Greer and Mr. Chris Burres. Patty, how are you today?
I'm excited to be here, and when I looked in my closet, I said, okay, the guy wears Hawaiian shirts all the time. What do I got with color?
I love it.
So I want you to know I dressed with you in mind.
That's great, because I definitely dressed with you guys in mind. I was like, what do I have that's purple? I have to grab something that's purple. All right, and Chris, how about you, buddy? How you doing?
Me, I dress the same every time.
You too. You're a bit like Einstein. I imagine that your closet is just a series of lab coats.
Which lab coat is it? Is it's Monday's lab coat or Tuesday's lab coat or Wednesday's lab coat? I don't know if you've read that there's, Steve Jobs, not comparing myself to him, apparently I am, but he, his turtleneck was exactly the same. And part of the logic is, and there's some data to support this, the less decisions you make, the more mental energy you have for other decisions. And so, there is some advantage of, throwing on a lab coat.
No, I totally agree. And I can tell you from my own personal life, I mean, that's why I wear the same style of thing every single day, because then I can just easily go in. I know that no matter what I grab, it's going to be sweet, and I can just go ahead and throw it on. And
plus, they look amazing.
Well,
I mean, that's a thing.
I appreciate it. And it's the same with everything I do here, too. It's like I have a process. Everything is very regimented so that I know exactly what I have to do every single morning at the same time, every single day when I sit in front of the computer. It just means that I don't have to waste all that mental capital. And I'm sorry, Patty, what were you going to say?
No, it's good. My thing in the morning when I go looking for what I want to wear, in the past, I used to wear black. And now I just won't. Now I need color. Yeah. And a lot of times the color will set my mood for the day. But one thing I do every morning is I crawl to the kitchen like, oh God, where is it? And I make my coffee. And it is this bowl of delight. And it's the way I start my day every day. And it gets me going like a choo-choo train. And by 10 a.m., people that call me are like, what on earth? How much coffee have you had? And I said, 1 cup with this. And I make a bunch of other amazing ingredients blend together, but I top it with the MCT coconut oil from our company, which is incredible. It's a great way to start your day. And we have 3 different flavors of this oil. And they're all different, what I would call frequencies, but a scientist would call saturation or concentration levels analytically. And they go in a machine, a very analytical machine, to measure how much of the fullerenes the oil will hold. And ultimately is what we end up with. 0.8 milligrams, the strongest of any oil, is going to be your olive oil. And for that reason, Chris and Robert have used it for most of the all of the peer-reviewed papers that have come out of our lab. The one famous test in 2012 that all the different people in this industry claim the product came from Chris's lab. So I've got to say, what we're doing, I think I'm really proud of it. But the oils are how I start my day religiously.
Yeah, I can tell you I do the exact same thing. I'm getting ready to do my second dose here in just a few minutes. I know we're probably going to do one live, but I wanted to tell you guys, my mom just recently started taking the MCT version, and she called me like a week later, and she was like, how should I be feeling? And I was like, well, Mom, it's kind of subtle. I mean, it's not like taking a pill. It's not like taking a drug. But I'll tell you what most people say is that they get better rest at night and they wake up feeling refreshed. And she was like, I can definitely cop to that. 100%. She is sleeping much better every single night and she's waking up with more energy. So I'm very happy about that.
2 great things.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing that, because that is one of the joys. Got something in my throat. It's not MCT oil. Don't worry. It's one of the joys that we have because like we get to, talk about the research and people, this is a cutting edge product, bleeding edge product even. And so people try it and then we get the feedback, this amazing feedback of the results that people are having. And it's just, it just, brightens our day and makes us so happy that we're, going through the effort of sharing this research and making sure the product is available having an amazing customer service department, all of that folds into and is driven by the kind of testimonial that you just gave about your mom. That's awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
My mom uses it also.
Cool.
And she's 95.
Oh, wow.
So I've got her putting this in her coffee every morning. And my favorite thing is when she calls me and says, "Oh, I'm running low on your oil." It's like, dang, she's taking it. That makes me happy. So yeah, I send her the olive oil. She's tried all of them. She enjoys them. But I think the easiest one is to start your day with one. And then when you want to really boost your brain power, take a hit of the olive oil because it is the strongest. And I think Chris is grabbing his beaker. He wants to take a shot of it. We'd like to do a toast at the top of the show. And then you'll notice all three of us probably talk a little faster and be a little focused and highly more.
Maybe this frog in my throat will go away.
I actually have found that if I take this right before I go in the air, it has like a coating effect on your vocal cords, and it definitely tends to help.
Yum.
Cheers.
3 really
Salud.
different flavors. Oh, look at our different methods. You've got a spoon, you've got the lab beaker, you've got the green bright neon spoon ladle.
Everything I have is some bright color of one form or another.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, color makes the world go around, kind of like laughter, which reminds me, have you guys ever done a laughter yoga class?
No, I never have. No.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
Me either. That's brand new.
It's a thing. And I heard that they're doing it in my town, and I don't want to embarrass myself. I've got my kids here, but I used to win, like the laughter of you basically, anyway, I won't elaborate on that, but
that sounds amazing. Like, yeah. Yeah.
I used
there
to
should
go
be
with
no shyness. Like the person who's out there the most is laughing the most. And that's awesome.
you have to leave your personality of the past at the door when you come in and have no pride whatsoever. And I would go with a woman in her 80s, and I was 50, I think, at the time. And we'd go every Thursday at 2:00, like religiously. And it was the darndest thing because you walk in like a normal person, you come out exhausted from laughing, and people are snorting. I mean, it's like once you get going, out of control. And God, we could use that medicine today.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I was saying to Zach before the show. We talk about, what's going on now, what's important. And on my mind, this whole week has been everybody I talk to has got the hugest issue, like really heavy stuff. We are all being tested. I don't know about Chris. Maybe, but I didn't.
Being tested.
Okay. Well,
I think I'm passing, but I am being tested.
Right? Oh, man. Well, I think that the one thing that people are always amazed when they talk to me is, how are you staying so grounded? Like, how are you not going through more emotional? And it's like the Evo. This stuff, keeps me really centered. And I don't do much of anything else. I've got 2 boxes of all these really great supplements, NAC, calcium, all these wonderful things. But I run my pendulum over everything, The Evo is always a yes. Some of the supplements are a yes. But I mean, how many of us spend a fortune on so many things and we can really simplify? And I think that considering how everything is simplifying now, did you see the list that went online today about how many Target stores are going out of business? How many of all these huge
CVS
stores?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, like dozens and dozens, hundreds and hundreds of all the big chains. It seems like they were all included, really minimizing, which ultimately is going to be a lot nicer to the planet. But the thing that I don't think people realize is why we're all being so tested is that we are in this silent war that half the people have no idea is going on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we've lost more people in the last 3.5 years than any other war in human history, if we count the people around the world that have gone down. And there's so many major things that our brain is like overwhelmed. And we forgot about the 300,000 that just died in the flood, and then 300,000 that are in the Syria war. And wait, what? And it's just everything is.
Yeah.
And here we are going, why do I feel so much energy stress? It's like, man, we better all get really grounded, really centered, simplified the things you need and want. We talked to one of our influencers yesterday. He goes, I'm traveling. I've been to all these countries with my wife. Now we're in Taiwan. And I want you to know I have a bottle of this and Neosporin. And that's my two for sure things in my backpack. And I was like, now that's awesome. The testimonials are so good where people are just saying, bottom fact, I love this stuff.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Things do seem to be just kind of compounding upon each other. And, you know, I totally understand what you mean. Obviously, if there isn't a bunch of big box stores, you know, creating congestion in cities or maybe dumping trash in the landfills, it will be better. But then at the same time, they're also losing all of that economic opportunity. I mean, what about all those people that are working there? And then what about all of the companies that are depending on the revenue from selling things in those stores? That's going to roll back into the companies themselves. And I mean, you better bet the executives are probably not the ones that are going to be feeling the hit. They're going to be taking that bottom line and shaving it from below, not from the top. And that's one of those things that's kind of like pressing outward on society and making people feel like things are just getting worse and worse and worse. And then at the same time, you know, not to get political, but, you know, you've got this invasion coming in from the southern border. Every single state is a border state now. And, you know, regardless of why people are suffering or why they want to come here, the United States is a country of law and order. And if that law and order is not being implemented, then it's this general free-for-all. I'm sure you guys have seen Escape from New York, Escape from LA. I think a lot of people are feeling that that's the kind of world we're living in now. And so, you know, people are looking around and saying, what the heck am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to even survive in a crazy world like this? The other thing that people don't really consider is the loss to the communities in places like, you know, like urban centers where, like, let's say there aren't any grocery stores. Maybe people are depending on a Target or a CVS, not only for their medicine, but also to get their fresh vegetables. When those stores go, the only thing they got left is maybe a 7-Eleven. They're going to be eating Cheetos and canned Dinty Moore stew for dinner every night. That's not good. I mean, that's also going to depress your immune system and make you feel like everything is just horrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges there for sure. And my first thought when Patty mentioned that, because I hadn't read it, was that, well, now you've got delivery from. I mean, they're closing because of Amazon.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
That's there's no doubt about that. And you know, Target has online presence, Walmart has online presence, and so you know, they're working to compete. And it's interesting. I think in you know, a number of years ago, they used to say that Walmart could have a potential advantage because of the locations. Ironically, they're closing them. But that last delivery, you think, well, it's still got to get delivered. Like even if you bulk deliver it to a warehouse and or Walmart, then the individual consumers are going to pick it up. Like they're really, that was my first thought. Transportation is probably actually better because Amazon does have a lot of push to use renewable energy sources in their delivery vehicles. Also, their routes are going to be more efficient than everybody leaving their house and going to Walmart and then everybody going back home. So the routes are more effective. So I think there are probably some good things overall. But yeah, you're talking about I forget what they call it, like nutrition holes, or there's some
food
phrase
deserts.
for these
food deserts.
Food desert where they can't get actual food, and it's probably just going to exacerbate that. Like, yeah. I don't know. There's a lot to solve. Are we going to solve that today?
No, it's impossible.
Well,
I didn't do my homework.
I've seen a lot of videos lately about comparing Europe's food to America's food, and we are the complete losers. We are being fed Cheetos, Doritos, corn chips, and popcorn with bad oil, you know, and bad butter and dirty salt. And I mean, it is. astounding that we've let it get like this. But here comes my spiritual prolific moment. Everything is coming to the surface to be healed.
Yep.
It's all coming to be exposed, unloaded. I watch congressional hearings way too much.
Me
Thank
too.
you. I love them. And because I don't want to really hear a lot of people's perceptions of what they said. I want to hear what they say. And it's so alarming. And again, I'm like, how can I sit here and be so, and I just am. And if I'm not, I'll take another damn teaspoon because I don't want to be upset. I choose to be really balanced and to survive this incredible silent war and be on the other side, because it's going to get so good when the rest of it, it's like this volcano of darkness, of bad people, of evil acts, of criminality, and they're just pouring it forth, but the news is hiding it. So it's such an interesting time where this wall, it's like this tsunami, it's going to break. And one side is going to be like this, going, wait. And then they're going to come find the people that have the shirts that say, my pronouns are told you so.
This is the great irony of this sort of awakening period that we're in. It is so painful for people to look out at this country and look out at the world in general and see how it has degraded and, how bad everything is that we're putting in our bodies. But, you can't fix something unless you can identify it, unless you can articulate it. And for so many years, people just kind of took it for granted that what they were being told was the truth, or that, this person or this organization in a position of authority. I mean, they're telling me this, and therefore it must be good for me. It must be okay. Oh, genetically modified foods, that's totally fine. They wouldn't feed it to us if it wasn't safe. But like you said, Patty, you go to Europe, you go to Russia, you can't get genetically modified food over there. They have it banned. They don't allow you to have that. And here they're moving towards this kind of fully processed food chain, where instead of people growing their own foods, eating natural foods, they want us to eat uber processed foods. They want us to eat fake foods. And they're going to tell us that it's the same thing, but we all know that it's not. I mean, you can feel it intrinsically. If anybody here has ever eaten vegetables from their own garden, and then gone to the grocery store, and you get something that was perhaps grown in Chile, and it was shipped for a month and a half to your grocery store. It was obviously irradiated. Otherwise, it would be totally rotten by the time it got to you. There's a completely different feeling to that food. I mean, when you're eating true nourishment, actual whole ingredients that are coming directly from the ground, perfectly grown in the exact way that they were made to, it's a completely different feeling. And I think it, physically and spiritually, mentally. And now people are kind of getting to the point where they're like, you know what? It's so obvious. It's all around us, and it has to change. Otherwise, that dam is not just going to break. It's going to drown everybody.
Yeah. Well, that's why we do the ESS60, this miracle molecule that won the Nobel Prize in organic oils. And the oils are straight out of the earth. This is real olives. I'd like to crack jokes, danced on by men in small little skivvies. Just kidding.
Only eunuchs get to squish pressed by eunuch toes.
I'm imagining like beautiful young Italian women, and like the fresh crop from the village coming in every single year, brand new sets of women getting into the big buckets or tubs or olive casks or something like that, and squishing it down and then squeezing it out. That's great.
They're busy rolling around in our olive oil, those ladies. I mean, our avocado oil. So
can I ask you guys a question? How do they express how do they express oil from an avocado? What is
it's
that
the
process?
Same way, right? It's just the same cold pressing process to get the oil out of it, right?
Okay.
Like, because you'll grab an olive oil, avocado, and you it's oily, and then you've just got to squeeze it out of it. Like it's, It really is the Italian virgins are the best at getting the oil out of the avocado oil.
That's so
we
funny.
are doing fantasy land like on our oils. That's pretty good. But the point being,
look, a spike in sales.
They are real food. That was my point, that they
Yeah.
are real food. And, the one thing about Chris and Robert, my other partner is Robert, but they've had the lab longer than anybody else, and 33 years now. And I did hear some guy say, 33 years, what was he, 10? He was 22. So, not a beginner in college, but my partners, I'm proud that they are the ones that have supplied pretty much all of the products for the peer-reviewed papers and the major tests that I kind of mentioned earlier, but I want to elaborate on the Paris Bhakti study because this is what put C60 and ESS60 on the map. C60 is what my partners sell to industrial application purposes, research institutions around the world, and industrial companies for making batteries, ink, photo cells, tires, things that you wouldn't want to put in your mouth. Carbon 60 fullerenes, they've been making them in their big lab, forever, pounding away. Everything's huge, to me. The lab's like 100 degrees. To me, to them, it's just Texas. But yeah, it was extremely impressive. And it wasn't until the last 7 to 8 years that people started calling them and saying, how much should I take? And they're like, what do you mean take? It's for batteries and don't take it. And so ultimately the demand got really big because people like me were experimenting, and I was dealing with an attack on my life is a nice way to put it. And I survived with taking this ESS60 formula from Chris's lab. So I got together with him about 5 years ago, and I said, my audience, your lab, let's do this. And we're both wacky enough to go in the air a few days a week and tell the truth. The stuff works.
Yeah.
Our families use it. Our kids use it, not children. My kids aren't children, but they all use it. And they are the only ones that stay well when everybody else is sick. We have the 32-ounce bottle for people that take it seriously. This thing is huge. Here's a normal 4-ounce bottle, and here's a 32-ounce big boy. I'd never break into it because then I'd have to take a half a cup a day, and I'd be like the road runner. I wouldn't be able to stop. I do want to mention we have capsules for people that travel, people that don't like to take a spoonful. And they're also the gelatin caps. Some people feel like they're taking a little food with the oil, but we recommend you take that, whatever product you choose, before noon, so that you get the energy all day long. You sleep better at night. Now, Chris can do coffee at night. He can do ESS60 at night. No problem. I, on the other hand, I try and draw the line like at noon or 1. Today I pushed it because I wanted to take a spoonful. I've got a show tonight at 8. I was going to tell you.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I really like about the product is the go power. It's like I put it in my coffee and the coffee will go and then it kind of drops off after a few hours. But the ESS60 in the coffee, I'm like this little go-kart. Actually, I'm older, so I'm more like a golf cart.
So, I used to drink coffee basically all day, like up until the point that I would go on air at night. And, if I started in the morning at 9 a.m., I would still be drinking coffee at 5 p.m. Like, I just cup after cup after cup. But when I started taking the ESS60, I drink 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and then I don't have any more caffeine until about 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And that's generally because I'm on air and I just need to be drinking something. But yes, I've definitely noticed that I don't have the need to be constantly imbibing caffeine all day. In fact, if I drink too much caffeine now, I will get like the typical jitteriness that I think a lot of people report, and that never used to happen to me. It's like I know now that it's too much. I don't need it.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So taking it in the morning takes the place of coffee all day long. Taking it in the morning takes the place of a whole lot of supplements that cost a lot of money that I don't buy anymore. All the body lotions that I used to buy, because I like moisturizing. I live in the Rocky Mountains. We have a beautiful facial skincare line, and at first it was because every time I'd finished my spoonful, I would wipe the spoon with my hand and then rub it on my hands and rub it on my face. And then, around the lip of the bottle, oh, there's a little drip. Well, I'll get that also. And I started seeing my skin really improve. So I talked Chris and the guys at the lab into letting me design a facial serum, and it's sold like crazy. And we are getting incredible reviews. It's the Advanced Facial Serum. And not only does it have the ESS60, this miracle molecule, it won the Nobel Prize in 1996. My partners started making it in 1991, not to brag, but
well, I think you guys have bragging rights. I mean, honestly,
right?
And yeah.
I mean, I'm nowhere near as old as them when it comes to it, but this,
just to add a little bit right there, because we're talking about us producing in the Nobel Prize. I don't let me try and figure out the best way to say this. I don't tend to tell grandiose stories about myself. In fact, I didn't ever want to have like chief scientist or CEO. It took me years to have that even on my business card. I'm like, hey, I'm just a guy doing things that this guy does, and I don't really need to toot my own horn. And the other day, it kind of dawned on me. So we started manufacturing and delivering commercial quantities of this molecule in 1991. The Nobel Prize was given in 96. A lot of the reason that the Nobel Prize was given is because scientists were able to get their hands on the material and test it and realize how profound that material is, right? That for industrial applications. And so, I don't think it's overly boisterous to say that we are partially responsible for them getting the Nobel Prize, because we delivered the material that they discovered to the people who needed to vote for them to win the Nobel Prize. And if they couldn't get the material, they're like, oh, this is a great fantasy material that we can make in micrograms. No, this is a material that we can make at a macroscopic level, that we can actually do tests on, that we can know that it works great in inks, batteries, tires, and photocells. Yet, in addition to being the amazing shape that it is, the first closed cage molecule, yes, they do deserve the Nobel Prize. So that dawned on me the other day, and it makes me feel good.
Well, the other thing, Chris, is that they're in recent years, I feel like the prestige surrounding some of those big prizes, like the Nobel Prize or the Pulitzer Prize, the prestige has waned a little bit. They have reduced the requirements, it seems, to handing it out, or it seems like they've given it to people, and I'm just like, why is this person getting this specific prize? But for something like this, I mean, I can absolutely see it, and I feel like this is from like the halcyon days of the Nobel Prize, and I think you should be proud to know that you were involved in that, and it's totally worthwhile to mention. Let me ask you this. What exactly is the difference, or the process rather, to ensuring that the industrial grade C60 molecule is not the human ingestible grade ESS60?
So from the kind of broadest perspective, it's just like having the right laboratory management processes to make sure that the ESS60 has gone. So I don't think that's what you asked, but I want to start there. The way we think about it is that carbon 60, C60, is for industrial applications. And there is, in fact, peer-reviewed published research that proves when it's improperly processed, it's harmful. ESS60 has been processed, is C60 that's been processed for safer human consumption. It turns out that, and by the way, this is not unusual. I think there's people out there going, oh, solvents and things that you consume, that are used to process things you consume are horrible. No, they're horrible if they remain in the product. They're actually used quite regularly in all sorts of products that we consume on a regular basis. And the issue isn't that you use them to isolate stuff. I mean, there are some incredibly toxic chemicals that are used in the process of making things we use on a daily basis. And it's just a contained system. And those incredibly toxic things stay in the system, and the things that we use come out of the system. So there's a lot of people saying, oh, it's touch solvents, and so this is horrible. And I have all sorts of comments on that, but I'll keep it simple. We go through a process, and it's an ultra high well, that's not the right way to describe it. It's a high vacuum high heat process. So what that enables you to do is you end up with the product is a crystalline form of a black powder, right? So imagine sugar with probably smaller crystals, and then it's black because it's carbon. That's really what this looks as a raw ingredient. And that will have some solvents interstitially, like so stuck inside the formations of the crystals. So you put that in a high heat, low vacuum oven, and what that does is it pulls those solvents out of those interstitial sites.
Okay.
There is concern that, well, there is not with us, but some people have concerns that, hey, you're not able to get all those interstitial solvents out of there. And the reality is we recently did a study. There's another process, I don't want to drag this on too much, but called sublimation. And people purport that sublimation is a better process and that it doesn't touch solvents. We actually purchased all of the sublimated products. This is industrial C60. And so industrial sublimated products in North America that we could get our hands on, and we tested them. Our ESS60 is actually better than them, right?
Oh,
so
wow.
This purported sublimated product that can't have solvents, that's the argument. Actually, all the versions in North America, and I'm assuming, people who are making these statements are buying them from North America because otherwise they're getting them from China.
Right.
Those actually do have solvents, and I could go into a long process and explain that, whereas ours is removed of the solvents to the point of undetectability. So this is, that is that distinguishing. And now there's one other step after that. We do a washing that also kind of further makes sure that we get rid of any kind of interstitial solvents. And that's why we're able to produce such a high quality solvent-free product. And again, the sublimated products in North America, we tested them all, do have solvents in them.
Wow. Okay. I've done some plant extractions in a laboratory setting before, so I'm familiar with those processes that you're talking about. Obviously, solvents allow you to take out certain things that you want, and then as long as you've got high enough heat and, of course, vacuum, it's going to pull all that stuff out of there. So, yes, excellent. I can totally see it happening. Good stuff. All right. So, you guys, we are almost at the end of our scheduled time together. So I wanted to make sure that we went through and finished up with any final thoughts that you may have about today's show. Or did we have any other messages that we haven't given the audience yet?
Well, I want to make sure that people know that we have pet products because people love their dogs and cats pretty much like they love their children, or they don't have kids. But we have these products that the dogs and cats ask for because we have bacon essence in the dog formula and salmon essence in the cat formula. And it's blended with the best-selling olive oil, ESS60. And they digest it well. We have a scale that you can tell, the size of your cat, how many drops to put in. Comes with a dropper bottle. And anyway, the reviews are incredible. My favorite is somebody said their dog was dying a year ago and they started on this product, couldn't hardly move. It was big, huge dog, dysplasia. And all of a sudden he's chasing the ball again. And they said, thank you for giving us another year with our dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
that's beautiful.
Wow, you can't beat that. And when you can see it in your dog or see it in your old cat that's been lethargic and now they're running around chasing the yarn balls, it just gives you joy. And for a lot of people, they'll test it on their pet and then they'll test it on themselves. But I'll tell you, when you take a teaspoon a day, you're going to notice a difference. And with what we have coming, one way or the other, I think people are going to have their personalities, their endurance tested, and our health constantly tested with the assaults on the food and water, like you were talking about, the air assaults. How about Tennessee Senate passing a ban on chemtrails?
That was
Can
amazing.
We say hallelujah.
Yeah.
Like, let's all do that. Like, why is that? Oh, it's not legal. It's just allowed. Anyway, progress is happening, and I'm all about progress and celebration.
That's a celebration.
I don't know if it would. I can't get mine to work.
I think you got to be a girl to have the magic because I just keep bringing it, baby.
Mine works only when I'm not intending for it to work. I don't know what the deal is. So.
Yes,
well.
some dramatic moment, and you do a thumbs up, and it pops up like, no, that's not good.
I'm talking about something really serious, and I'm gesticulating, and then all of a sudden something happens. There you go. Yeah.
I don't know. And I didn't set this. It just started happening.
Yeah.
But I used to make crop circle movies. So, the spirit would speak through me. So I guess now this is my computer speaking through me. Wahoo! But I do want to mention that for people that have not tried the product, you can sign up for a monthly subscription to save 20% off. And that's a lot, when you start, if you say, I want to spend a little less, it's easy. Sign up for a monthly. You can cancel 3 days later. We are not here to talk you out of it, but most people don't cancel once they try it. And no matter what, go to our website, c60evo.com/redpill78 and use Zach's code redpill78 in the checkout for another 10% off. You can get up to 25% off if you buy a case of anything. You can buy it with a friend or give them as gifts, but the products all work. We haven't found anything it doesn't fix. Great for scars, not old scars, but the facial serum, oh my gosh, what that's done for my scars from recent little issues I've had, surgeries and things. It brings your skin like really freshens, and comes in this beautiful box. Very cool gift. So that's what I have to say is try it for you and your pets, and you'll see a difference in your life that's going to be an improvement.
Yeah, I can tell you, Smokey, she's our 20-year-old Maine Coon. She has been up and moving around since we started giving her the ESS60 for cats. More than ever. I mean, like for the last 10 years or so, she basically just slept all day. I mean, she's got, she's got arthritis in her back legs, her knees are, basically bone on bone. And she would, back when we lived in Michigan, we had a second story to the house. We have a ranch here now, but, it would take her about 10 minutes to walk up the stairs because she could only go up one step at a time. And it was so sad. And now, she doesn't have to do that, but she was still pretty lethargic when we brought her down here. And now, since giving her this, she is like, we have a set of pet steps at the bottom of the bed so that the dogs and her can now walk up those steps. She never would have done something like that before. And now she's coming up, she's moving in, and she's coming and hanging out with us again, which is really, really cool. And I certainly appreciate it. And of course, Lisa absolutely loves the facial serum. She was super impressed when we got the box the other day. I was like, you got to see this. You've never seen the presentation before. And so we open it up and she was like, oh my God, like this is really nice. How cool is this?
It feels like Christmas.
Yes, that's exactly what she said. Feels like Christmas. All right, Chris, how about you, buddy?
Well, the only thing I was going to add, you were talking about kind of reducing your coffee, and my story is fairly similar. I would typically have 2 cups of coffee a day. As soon as I started taking this regularly, I'm down to just 1. I just don't need that second one. And before I got it part of my coffee routine, I could get to like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, think about a second cup of coffee, think about taking a nap, and I could always look back and I hadn't taken my C60 Evo that morning. So now it's ingrained into my coffee routine. I just don't have that experience. And one testimonial, people often ask, like, how long might it take to see some response? We have a video testimonial of a lady who started the product in the morning. Her video was created that evening, and she says, listen, I didn't finish my cup of coffee today. Just like you're acutely aware of how much coffee you used to drink and how much you drink now, for someone to say, I didn't finish my cup of coffee, that means like they're aware that they usually do finish their cup of coffee. So we do get some testimonials as quick as 1 day. We often get testimonials where people are like, you mentioned it was a little subtle. I haven't really noticed that much. They stop, and then it's 5 to 10 days. They're like, oh, okay, now I feel what I'm missing by not being on it. And so we recommend like just stay on it because it generates a lot of value for a lot of our customers.
Okay, awesome. Well, it was great seeing you both again. Thanks for being here. As Patty said, you can head up the website at c60evo.com/redpill78. Use code redpill78 to save 10% off of anything on the website, even the bundles. And I look forward to seeing you guys again next time. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Thank you. Stay well.
Bye-bye.